lovelies, how are you all doing today? I hope you are well. I am just kind of hunkering down a bit today and thinking about, because we've had an absolutely foul storm blowing all night, really high winds. The winds are starting to die down, but it's grey, it's dark, it's cold. The rain is lashing against my windows. The wind is howling around my chimney stacks. I'm so grateful on days like today that I don't have to go out for anything, but I don't have to go out to work, I don't have to be outside. I can be perfectly cosy at home. And just to add to the coziness today, I'm actually filming this on the 1st of January. I'm just trying to make sure I've got videos ready in case suddenly it happens and I can't get any videos filmed because I'm in the middle of it. So yeah, it's the 1st of January, blown in with this storm, but the lovely thing today, and it's part of my hygge too, is that all the programming on BBC Radio 4 today is on the theme of the shipping forecast. I mean, how glorious. So as I've been doing bits and pieces this morning, I've had the radio chatting in the corner to me, keeping me company on a subject that I love, and I know a lot of you love too. I thought, just what a genius idea to have a whole day. So there've been sort of poetry, travel stories, a bit of the history, a bit of understanding of it, different voices reading it. Lovely. And I think that feeling of coziness at home. And I was just saying, I'm so grateful I don't have to go out today. And you know, when the weather is like this, I always spare a thought for those who have to go out in it. You know, all our emergency services, even things like the car breakdown services, you know, if you're on a motorway, hard shoulder, howling wind, lashing rain, trying to sort someone's car out. Ugh. But I especially think of, you know, our fishermen and women, anyone who's out to sea, all our merchant sea people. But I really often, my first thought is for the RNLI, all those volunteers who, you know, when it's stormy, they're on high alert, aren't they, for whatever may happen. And when I think about those folk outside, it helps me to really appreciate my home. My home becomes like a little island in the storm where it's safe and lovely. And I've talked before about how I do struggle with winter depression. Yes, light, but also it's that I just hate being cold. And one of my ways of dealing with it it's finding those ways to enjoy. Can you flip it, you know, through 180 degrees? Can you flip that kind of misery into something like joy? And what could be more joyful than being at home, safe, relatively warm, getting on with one's work, whatever it is, or you know, a bit of cooking with the radio on for company. That there's something incredibly, I don't know what it is about Radio 4, but there's something incredibly warm and comforting about it, isn't there? So yes, today is a day for counting blessings and for not being miserable, at least for me. That's what I'm trying to do. And at the moment I'm just prepping some veg for dinner tonight, because I think by the time I come to make this tonight, I'm probably going to feel quite tired. So I'm just going to get on with the prep now, and I'm going to have a risotto. I haven't had a risotto for ages, absolutely ages, months in fact, but This will be especially for my friend Jan, who will laugh. Oh, hang on, I've just heard an alarm go. Hang on a tick. That was my alarm telling me to turn the heating off. Otherwise I'll just completely forget. Get distracted. Oh yeah, so I'm doing a risotto. Now, what's a bit weird at the moment, I don't have the new freezer at the moment. So I'm having to cook a bit more frequently than normal. Cook smaller amounts more frequently. Obviously once the freezer is here, well, I was going to say I could have a massive batch cooking day and fill it all up to the brim again, but then I don't think I would want to do that, just in case it happens sooner rather than later. So yeah, I'm just kind of trying to sort of plan a little bit ahead each day about time, cooking time, and being on my feet in the kitchen time. So I thought, well, this is the bit that will surprise and make my friend, where's my cloth gone? I put it in the wash last night. This will be the bit that makes my friend Jan laugh, and she doesn't understand the concept. Reaching down for vegetables in this fantastic new fridge, which has a door which stays on. The thing that prompted the risotto is this. How much is in there? About a third, slightly more than a third of a bottle. It's probably about 200, yeah, I'd say it's about 250 mils. So for Christmas I had the lovely little mini bottle of Prosecco from Sarah and Ian, which is lovely. It's like a single serving, a single person bottle. Now I'd opened that on Christmas Eve with you all. So later that day, I thought, you know what, if I have that little glass of Prosecco, I'm going to want another drink afterwards. So I popped over the road, got myself a bottle of wine, so that on Christmas Day itself, have a couple of glasses. But I really, it's funny, recently I've just not fancied alcohol, wine or beer, haven't really fancied it. So the little Prosecco, a couple of glasses of wine, Christmas Day, that was plenty, that was sufficient. I enjoyed it. But obviously I've got that left over, so I suddenly thought, yay, do a risotto. Now, I don't have any, I was going to do, so, of course, I mean it is a bit of a treat veg, isn't it? That was about £1.10, I think. I thought, I'll do fennel and pea. I love asparagus too, not the right season. I'll do fennel and pea risotto. And then I suddenly remembered, of course, I lost all my peas in the freezer and I lost my parmesan in the freezer. So it will be, it won't, so when I do the risotto later, I won't start it in butter as I normally would, it'll be oil. I have got wine, yay, but there won't be any parmesan to fold into it, but I've got a bit of cheddar. And there won't be any peas in it. And when I went out to get the fennel, I thought, well, I'll just buy another bag of peas. I was at the freezer, I suddenly thought, you can't buy a bag of frozen peas, you don't have a freezer. Anyway, but that's my, I think that's my, the lesson I've really learned for myself over the last few years is, my kind of how to cope with winter. And it's certainly about trying to appreciate the coziness. So instead of thinking about the yuckiness, think about the coziness. And what could be more cozy than a bit of kitchen time with friends, or, ideally real life friends sitting here. But yeah, kitchen time, making lovely food, listening to the radio, being battened down against the hoolie that's going on out there. And just remembering to think about all those people who are out there. Right, let's get on. So, so one thing, just while I chop this, I'm not actually going to make it now, I'm going to make it later, because it will require me standing over the stove with the ladle. I know there are quicker ways to do risotto, but I like to do it the slow way, the slow, mindful way. So while I'm chopping it, do you remember my treats for a tenner? I picked up a copy of Tom's Midnight Garden, Philippa Pierce. It was a bit weird because last year I also had, last year now, with my treats for a tenner, I got a copy of Stig of the Dump by Clive King, another kid's book, another book I'd read when I was little. Read Tom's Midnight Garden when I would probably have been about 10 or 11 when I read Tom's Midnight Garden. Now, when I read Stig of the Dump again as an adult, I remembered absolutely everything in really, really quite fine detail. Absolutely all of it. Pardon me. I remembered, words, images, places, all the different bits of the stories. I remembered it like it was yesterday. Tom's Midnight Garden, I hardly remembered any of it. There were three things which I remembered and remembered quite distinctly. I remembered him. There's part of the garden, the Midnight Garden, is a walled kitchen garden, tall wall, and he walks along the top of it and he terrifies his friend. The friend is down, don't fall. I remembered that really clearly. The meeting with the old lady, I remembered that very clearly. The main thing, and this was so sharp and distinct in my mind, was remembering the interior, the hallway with the clock. So coming through the front door, the hallway goes all the way through to the back door to the garden, and down there towards the back of the hall on the right is the staircase going up, and just before it, the clock, the grandfather clock. And in my mind, as I was reading the book, I was like, it's exactly how I remember it. So it's funny that was the bit that was so distinct in my mind. But then I also was thinking about the fact that I'd remembered Stig of the Dump, so, like all of it, I remembered all of it. When I was reading Tom's Midnight Garden, it was like some of the bits it was like I was reading it for the first time. The ice skating, I don't remember the ice skating at all. And it got me kind of cogitating on why don't I remember those bits? And I wonder if it was something that was going on in my life at the time that was bigger and more important and taking up my brain space, so that there wasn't space for any of that to be lodged. Whereas Stig of the Dump I probably would have read when I was 7 or 8. Maybe there wasn't anything to distract me, I don't know. I mean, at the age I was when I read Tom's Midnight Garden, I was just chopped to veg everywhere. I was probably changing from little school to big school. Maybe that was it. I just think I had a dispassionate moment of thought about myself as a child and thinking about child development and, how our brains develop and outside influences. What was it that was going on in my life when I was 10 that stopped me from remembering the book very well? Goodness knows. Okay, that's all the veg prepped. It doesn't look like much, so that's garlic, onions and fennel. But I'm going to make a slightly smaller one today. I might make it to do 3 portions instead of my usual 4, so that I can have a portion today and then, the same for a couple of days. It's really weird cooking without a freezer. It's made me realise just how much I rely on the freezer and how much I use it and how it's a huge part of planning and, in essence, it's a huge part of being able to cook so cheaply. Buying the veg in bulk you know, when they're a decent price, and getting them cooked up and stashed away for use later on. Okay, should we go and have a sit? Because just doing that, my knees are starting to say, it's time to sit, it's time to sit. Because this has prompted a couple of other thoughts as well. So come on, let's go and take a pew and get comfy and cosy. Are you wrapped up warm? It's not that cold. I was going to say it's not that cold today, but I have had the heating on. Grab a cuppa, grab a blankie, and we'll go and cuddle up and chat a bit more. That's nice. Little sit down. Oh yes, you'll notice my Christmas cards have gone. I'm one of those people who, New Year's Eve, I take it all down. I like a kind of clean start for New Year. I'm sure loads of you must do as well, that idea of... Actually, I'd like to spring clean every New Year's Eve so that I start the new year. Everything's clean and tidy. I didn't spring clean this year, but I did have a bit of a tidy up, including Christmas cards to the recycling. Thank you for all your lovely cards. I've got a feeling with post and stuff that there'll still be more to come, but in fact I know of at least 2 that are still on their way. I'll just have an extended Christmas, won't I? Right, so yeah, so Tom's Midnight Garden, it was sweet to read. I think it's a book I'm sure many of you read. It's still delighting children today. I think it just taps into that wonderful thing that kids dream about, imagine about, of sort of time travel, a secret place to play that adults don't know about, having a secret from an adult. So yeah, it was a really, really sweet read. A couple of hours. It wasn't Boxing Day, I can't remember when it was now, but yeah, curled up on the sofa one afternoon, took a little break, read Tom, and it was adorable. But I was remembering something, and it was sparked from a couple of comments I had a few weeks ago when I had reread Tarka the Otter, which at the time, you remember I was saying it's a beautiful book, it's a truly beautiful book, but it's also, in places, it's horrific and brutal, it's awful. And loads of you in comments said, do you think, so I would have read it. Again, it's one of those books I probably would have read anywhere from sort of 9, 10, maybe 11 years old. Again, thinking about that child development and how I was developing. Quite a few people ask, do you think reading Tarka was the beginning of you becoming vegetarian? Because I wasn't brought up, I'm actually really warm suddenly. I wasn't brought up in a vegetarian household. I'm the only veggie in my family. And I think the answer is yes. I'm sure it's part of what fed into not just being vegetarian, but also being a bit of a sort of eco-campaigner. More of that now, because when I was 11, I went up to big school, as everyone does in the UK, and you know, it's kind of scary because you've gone from your little school, fewer kids at the school, but of course by the time you're in the year that's about to leave, you're the big fish in this little pond, and then suddenly you go to big school and there's vastly more kids, and they're kids you don't know, and they're really big kids, and it's scary. So my school did a really fab thing actually. The school was built on a hill, and at the back where the hill dropped away, there was built a whole nother floor of the school down a bit. So this lower level was all for us first years, us little uns who were coming up to big school. We did go into other parts of the school at times, but I think a great idea just to get the kids settled into their new big school, but away from the really, really, really big scary kids. And down there there was a sort of a common room area and a long corridor. It went the whole width of the school, this long corridor, classes off it. And one of the first things we did, it was an art project in one of our art classes. We were all tasked with designing a poster, and our posters would then be displayed all the way down this long corridor. And, you know, the majority of the kids did posters for things like, oh, the upcoming Christmas concert or Christmas show at the school. Posters for, you know, a jumble sale, that sort of thing. But 11-year-old me, and bear in mind, only because I'm a July baby, I'm pretty much one of the youngest in the school. So I'm, you know, aged 11 and sort of 3 months, and some of the kids have just turned 12, so I'm really little. I took the bull by the horns, as it were, for my poster campaign. And so this relates to stuff that was in the news in 1978. And it was to do with the culling of seal cubs. A lot of countries wanted to, basically they wanted to kill all the baby seals, because what do baby seals eat? Well, they eat their mother's milk, of course. What do their mothers eat? Fish. So numerous countries, including Britain, wanted to if they'd had their own way, they would have eradicated the seal population completely, because they want the fish for us humans. And my feeling at that time was, that's not fair. That's their food, and it's their only food. Us humans, we can eat something else. We don't need to steal the fish from these lovely seals. Honestly, this is me at 11, already being concerned about mankind and what we are doing to the environment. So that was my poster. So amongst all these lovely posters for jumble sales and Christmas concert events, there's my poster, and it was pretty graphic. I clipped bits out of, our art teacher used to, from all the other teachers as well, gather together the Sunday supplements in the newspapers, the colour magazines. So I used those. I had pictures of these beautiful white baby seals with their big brown eyes looking up. There was a lot of press about it at the time, so there's a lot of imagery, photographs in papers that I could use. And I mean, I was pretty graphic about it. I was angry. I was an angry 11-year-old. So I had all these pictures of pups, these seal pups, and I just put loads of red paint on it, flying everywhere to symbolise blood. And the only words on it just said, please stop killing me, or us. So yeah, anyway, I got top marks for my poster because they said it was very effective, and it got vandalised. It was the only poster out of all of them that was vandalised, and it was horrible. I was so upset because people wrote nasty things on it about, you know, kill them all. And I suppose in a way it was my first lesson in life, in you know, when a subject is really divisive, that it seems like it's black and white, there's no grey area, and people hating on me for being upset that these animals are being killed. I was upset that animals are being killed, and because I showed my upset, then I got hated on. Yeah, pretty valuable, but a life lesson that came probably a little bit too early. I was really devastated by what got written on my poster, but, you know, I remember talking to my art teacher at the time, and they were saying how, you know, it shows that it's a really, really, really good, strong poster because of that response. You know, all the other posters, everyone's ignoring them, but yours is the poster that no one is ignoring. So it's like, so well done, you should go into graphic art. Oh my goodness, yeah. Bless little me. Just didn't really understand that I might have caused upset, but you know, yeah, good. I'm glad I caused upset. Think about it. Just think about what we're doing as humans. It's their fish. We can eat something else. We've got all these animals that we're growing to eat. Leave the fish alone. Now, on the subject of eating, very quickly, I'm trying to get back to my sort of, you know, normal sort of 35 minute videos instead of those very, very long, rambly ones over Christmas. I think it's okay at Christmas though, isn't it? Because I think we're more chilled. Talking of more chilled, I'm getting chilly. Perhaps a little bit more time on our hands. And I know loads of you commented as well that, you know, those longer videos you enjoy because I talk to you while you're patching, you're quilting, you're cooking. Just hang. So, the last thing I wanted to mention today was, I think I mentioned it, I think when I was making my celeriac soup video, I was talking about this 30 plants a week. It's the new thing of encouraging us. It's not so much about having your 5 a day, which actually should be 10 a day, but it's more about encouraging the diversity of what we eat over the course of a week in terms of our plants. Because if you eat 5 a day, if your 5 a day could be literally every day, it's an apple, a satsuma, some broccoli, some carrots, and a potato, and some potatoes. But if that's all you're eating all the time, you're missing out on all sorts of these really minuscule, the phytonutrients in all the different other foods that are all contributing to our health. So it seems like this is the new buzzword or buzz thing of eat 30 plants across your week. So I thought, well, surely as a vegetarian, I must easily do that. So I started to make a note. And as I was going along, I thought, so I started off at a cracking pace. I thought, yeah, tomatoes, celery, carrots, onions. And then I slowed down a bit and I thought, oh, maybe it's not so easy. So I calculated mine, and this was before the freezer broke. So this is back, I think it was that last week before Christmas that I did this. So this is based on foods that I was both cooking that week and also some meals from the freezer. So I'm not necessarily buying 30 different plants per week, but I'm eating them because I've already cooked them. What I haven't included on here, and I saw a post the other day from someone and they'd included some, not all, but some of the grains. So I haven't included here brown rice or quinoa or oats or barley. I didn't have any oats. I haven't had oats for a while, but I did have some barley in a soup, and I've had some rice and some quinoa. So there's 3 more to add to this. Anyway, this is what I came up with for me. Lemon, apples, blueberries, satsumas, because it was Christmas, and prunes, so that's my fruits. Then lentils, chickpeas, peas, coco de Pampol beans. That was from November, but they were in a fasolada I made that I then later on I had that week in December from the freezer. Coco de Pampol beans, kidney beans, black-eyed beans, sweet potato, white potato, onion, garlic, of course, tomatoes, celery. Now we get into the usual culprits. Tomatoes, celery, carrots, celeriac, leeks. I think that's what I mentioned in that video. I was saying it's another veg to get into your 30 a week. So yeah, celeriac, leeks, turnip, swede. Again, that was that new soup I tried. Broccoli, cabbage, Brussels, I love Brussels sprouts, parsnips, and then also walnuts, herbs, 2 different herbs, and spices, 5 different spices, and that adds up to 34 in a week. And if I added those grains in that are allowed or counted, it would be 37. That's great. So great, just as I thought, as a vegetarian, I am getting my 30 a week, but I think there's probably a lot of us who aren't, and that's quite a diverse range of recipes I've made as well. So I think it's just something to ponder on, isn't it? Something to think about is, do we always reach for the same veggies when we go shopping? For example, and I think it's probably especially true if you've got kids and your attitude is, look, I don't care what veg it is they eat, just as long as I get a vegetable into them. Just 1 veg a day, please. I understand. But yeah, probably a lot of us reach for the same stuff every week, don't we? Some broccoli. And that's why I was mentioning the kids, because broccoli is one of the least bitter vegetables, so we can get it eaten by kids. all the sweet, you know, peas and carrots, they're sweet. So for a child's palate, they are more palatable. But yeah, I think it's worth thinking about, isn't it? I was kind of referring to this as well in my New Year's Eve video about doing things and getting into a rut and getting into habits. And ruts and habits, I understand, you know, it's the root of least resistance in life, isn't it? It's whatever's easiest, because God knows, you know, when you're working full time and caring, whether it's for little kids or elderly relatives, you've got your garden to tend to, and you know, we're always all so short of time. We're knackered. We live this incredibly fast-paced life. There's always something on the internet to distract us and eat up even more of our time. I'm doing it to you now with my video. I'm stealing your time from you. That perhaps, yeah, it's just easier to eat the same recipes over and over again, or not even necessarily recipes, but you know, you've got your grilled chicken, and then you have with it some broccoli and carrots and new potatoes, and it might be that you know, you have that kind of grilled chicken or that piece of fish, but on the side it's the same every time. It's carrots, broccoli, new potatoes. So yeah, I think it's worth thinking about, isn't it, to, you know, when you're next in the shops, as your hand reaches for the same stuff. And put it this way, if you feel like you could walk around your supermarket blindfold to do your shopping, then maybe it's time to change things up a bit. Just try one new different recipe to get a new veg into your diet. Obviously, this also reflects the seasonality of, you know, I eat with the seasons. So it'll be interesting to do this, to write this all down again at the height of summer, because in the height of summer I wouldn't have parsnips, Brussels, probably wouldn't have cabbage or broccoli, Swede turnip, celeriac wouldn't be there. Suddenly a load of these things disappear. Food for thought. If we can improve our health, even by, you know, the tiniest increment, just by eating a wider range of foods. Think rainbow as well. We're always hearing about eat the rainbow. I don't know that I definitely don't eat the rainbow every single day, but across the course of the week. The difficult ones to get in are, well, I've got blueberries there. I was going to say the blue and the purple kidney beans. But things like red cabbage, that would be a really good one to put in here as well. Get some of those reds and blues in there. Anyway, I thought I'd share that. I think it's quite interesting. I was certainly interested to just make those notes for myself, to think, So today, for instance, later on, I'm going to have my fennel. My lunch soup, so you saw the parsnip soup video. So my lunch today will contain parsnips, leeks, lemons, and then my supper will have garlic, onion, fennel. I don't think risotto rice counts. If I was having it with brown rice, I could have brown rice. So that would be 7 just in today. Oh, and then also later on I'll have blueberries, and I don't have any satsumas left. I think I need to buy some fruit. Anyway, I'm starting to waffle. This is supposed to be shorter today. Lovely people, thank you for hanging out with me a little bit today and sharing some of the hygge that I'm sort of feeling and creating for myself. It's a kind of a mind trick, isn't it? If the day is really grey and dismal, it will be so easy to feel down. What can you do for yourself to not let that happen? How can you distract yourself from what's that going on out there? And maybe it is as simple as putting on an extra light, putting on the radio and listening to some soothing sounds, or putting on some music. What's your favourite music? Pop some music on. Maybe get up and have a bit of a jiggle around to your music. No one's watching. It's fine. You can do what you want. And maybe it's as simple as preparing a really yummy comfort food meal for yourself. What is more comforting than gorgeous, creamy, gooey risotto? Can't wait. I will wait though, that's for tonight. In the meantime, I can think about lunch instead. Lovely people, I will see you all again really soon, but until then, please look after yourselves, stay cozy, stay well, please stay well, and continue recovering. All of those of you who were, it seemed like a lot of people had colds and flu-y type things over Christmas. I hope that's well and truly gone for you now and you're feeling a little bit more like yourself again. Until the next one, gorgeosities, cheerio.